Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Thursday, November 29th, and we have UFC Fight Night 142 coming up this weekend from Australia, Adelaide, Australia, and we're going to preview the top 4 fights on this card right now with a low bagger, one of my favorite low baggers of all time, Animarak, a.k.a. Clint. His real name is Clint, and of course, he has impressed us for a while now with his MMA breakdowns. Just been killing it overall in general. How have things going for you? How have things been going for you recently, Clint, with your MMA picks?
You know, everything's been going pretty well. I smashed a couple of Bellator cards, and
Nice.
it's been slim pickings in the UFC. You got to pick your spots carefully, but we're getting a lot of cards right now. It's been pretty great.
All right, well, we're just going to talk about the top 4 fights for UFC Fight Night 142. I don't know. I think I'm seeing some possible betting value here with some of these fights. We'll see if you agree, Clint, a.k.a. Animarak from the Loshak and the Bag Show. Great to be talking with you right now, Clint. Let's talk about the main event, JDS against Tai Tuivasa, right? Now, obviously, JDS is now pretty much a gatekeeper, and the question is, Tuivasa marched through a bunch of regional foes, regional opponents, and can definitely get finishes here. When I look at this one, I'm thinking that if JDS wins, it's probably by decision, right? If Tuivasa wins, it's probably because he catches the declining JTS. Which one is more likely? I would say probably Tua. By knockout is a little bit more likely. JDS is the small favorite here. I'm not sure if that's warranted, and I'm thinking that, if JDS wins, it's by decision, but maybe Tuivasa, inside the distance, by knockout, might have quite a good amount of value. We know that his early fights were sort of marked by being too aggressive, and he's trying to correct that, but he knows, again, that this is the way that he's going to win this fight. I think, I don't think he wants to get to a decision here. I don't think he wants this fight to go to the cards, because I think that means that the fight isn't going according to his game plan. His big Tuivasa, the big question mark with Tai is just his grappling, and that's not likely to get tested against JDS. So I'm thinking Tai as an underdog has some value, and probably inside the distance. Clint, what do you think?
I really like Tuivasa. I'm a fan of his. I think he's got a really high ceiling.
But
he's a young up-and-coming fighter. But this is definitely one of his first shots against a legend. This is kind of a buy low spot for JDS. If you're interested in him, you're getting a nice price on him. But I think you're absolutely right that if it goes the distance, it's probably JDS. And if it ends inside the distance, JDS doesn't have that killer power that we've seen in the past. I think Tuivasa would be the one to clip him. The way I'm looking at this fight, though, is the over. What's the total set on this fight?
It's a very low total. 1.5 is the line right now. Well, that's actually some places have 1.5. Heritage has 2.5 at a dog line. So the total right now, just 1.5 rounds, and that would be minus 168 at Pinnacle. Or if you wanted 2.5, Heritage is hanging 2.5 at plus 105. Fight going the 5-round distance is just plus 240, though.
I would love to jump on that over 1.5 because I think Tai Tuivasa is going to come out with a much more measured approach, and JDS isn't so shot that he's going to get KO'd in the first round by a guy like Tai. So I see this fight going over 1.5.
You see it going over 1.5, but you don't necessarily see it going the distance, because if you see it going the distance, then I'm thinking that that JDS by decision would be maybe have a little bit of more value there, and JDS by decision is plus 350.
Yeah, that's where things get real sketchy. Once you get past 1.5, either one of these guys can gas out, and both of them have the power to finish the fight. I kind of want to lead Tuivasa. I like my dogs, but I can't really tell you who's going to end up clipping who in this fight. I think the over 1.5 is the safest bet to make. Yeah,
it's interesting. Tai to win is plus 137 at Pinnacle. Tai to win inside the distance is just plus 160. So obviously the market expects that if Tai wins, it is much, much more likely to be inside the distance than not. So you want to make the over an official play at 1.5 minus 168?
Yes, sir, I do. Give that to me, please.
All right. I would love to take Tai if I was getting a little bit better odds here on inside the distance. I may as well just take him to win at plus 137. You just think that it's too much too soon for Tai? He's not ready for this. He's going to have the home country advantage as well, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that it's just a little too much too soon, and I wouldn't put him winning by decision out of the realm of possibility. So I wouldn't want to be locked into that KO only type of a bet. JDS actually looked relatively impressive in his last fight. Guys like Alistair Overeem towards the end of their careers, they start fighting smarter, and that's kind of what we see from JDS right now. So I'm a little concerned that he can veteran savvy his way to a decision win.
All right. Well, I was thinking that Tua might be the play here as an underdog, but maybe I'll have to think about it a little bit more. Then the next fight we're going to discuss is Justin Willis against Mark Hunt. You know, Hunt coming off of 2 losses in a row. This is probably going to be his last UFC fight. You know, he stopped early by another aging guy in his last fight, and the question is just does Willis have what it takes to continue this descent in Mark Hunt's career? I think probably yes. I would take Willis at -120, and definitely probably a little bit more value at least. Willis inside the distance. Willis winning inside the distance is plus 236. What do you think?
Willis inside the distance plus 236 isn't bad. You know, I actually feel like this fight is a lot like the other one, though. This is a good buy low spot for a veteran like Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
This guy's taken a big step up in competition. Mark Hunt's coming off of 2 losses. He's a legend of the sport. He's not going to take that lightly. And I think he's probably going to finish his contract out with the UFC in this fight and be looking to go somewhere else. You always want to end on a winning note. Anytime you're going to another organization or something like that, you're looking for that big price tag. And if you're coming off of 3 losses in a row, they're not going to want to pay you that much to come over and fight for them. Close to even money, I'd say I'd take Mark Hunt.
Really? Close to even money? You want to make that an official play, Clint?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Why do you think the market has bet up? Because this line opened at about -105 on both sides. Clearly, it's taken a small but significant move in Willis's favor. He's now up to a -124 at Pinnacle, so that's almost a 20-cent line move in favor of Willis. What do you think that is? Just about a recency bias with? I mean, that's the way I was thinking as well. But are we being fooled by a recency bias because of Hunt's last fight?
I think that's exactly what it is. Okay. I think people are seeing Mark Hunt at the twilight of his career. He's dropped his last 2 fights. But you got to keep in mind those last 2 fights have been stiffer competition than the guy he's about to walk into the cage against. This guy's taking a step up in competition, and I actually like fading fighters in that situation unless they've shown me something previously that I can lean on to say, you know what, I think they can handle this step up. I think you face a guy like Mark Hunt in this spot, you take that L, you learn from it, and then you come back better in your next fight.
All right. Well, let me think about this for a little bit, because I was thinking that Willis inside the distance might have some great value, but maybe not. Now let's talk about the next fight: Tyson Pedro against Shogun Rua. Another situation where we have an aging fighter, clearly on the decline in his career, but now here as a huge underdog. And this was the one fight where I was thinking that this is a fight where I was thinking that maybe taking the aging fighter here as an underdog, as this big of an underdog at plus, in the plus 300s. Would maybe be the way to go. I think that obviously this fight has a finish written all over it. Which is more likely? I guess Pedro is significantly more likely, but is he as more likely to do that as the market is giving credit for? He's up in the -450s, 460s, and Rua at in the plus 350s, 360s on the other side. I'm thinking. I know that Rua is in a steep decline right now. He might be we might be seeing what happened with Rashad Evans, but I don't know. Should he be this big of a dog here?
Absolutely not.
Right.
I'm going to keep on the same track I've been on for the last couple of fights. This is an aging veteran, and this line is just way too wide due to a recency bias. He ran into Anthony Lionheart Smith, and he just moved up to 205. We're seeing what a special fighter he is. But who else has he lost to, though? Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak. It's the longest win streak of his career in the twilight of his fighting career. He was looking fantastic. Tyson Pedro. He's taken a step up in competition. He's fighting a savvy veteran, and he's never fought anybody this caliber of a fighter. Shogun can show up and surprise you here, and we're definitely getting the right price to take Shogun.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro has clearly struggled when he stepped up in competition, and he's clearly dominated when he's fought fringe guys, and it feels like Rua's kind of in the middle of those 2 categories, right? Those 2 levels of fighter, right?
Absolutely. Prime Hua dices this kid. Aging Hua, we probably got a good fight on our hands, but he definitely has that experience to lean on. I can see him showing up and knocking this kid back down the ladder.
All right, so do you want to make an official play here on Shogun? At I guess the best line would be at BetOnline plus 385.
Yep. I want plus 385. At this point, I don't see it's another one of those ones where you could take it inside the distance and cross your fingers, but there's so much value on it just taking it straight.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Just to end this segment with some food for thought, or for just some things to think about. Obviously, the market is expecting the fight not to go the distance. The fight not going 3 rounds is minus 365 at 5 dimes. The fight going the distance is plus 275. Shogun to win, we could give you plus 385 at 5 dimes. But if we really think the fight is almost definitely going to be finished, going to see a finish inside the distance. Shogun inside the distance is plus 528.
Yeah, it's just not enough extra value in my opinion.
Okay.
Shoga's actually pretty hard to put away. And when people get older, they don't finish quite as well. Mm-hmm. He could grind out a gritty, dirty decision here, and I would just be kicking myself if I took him inside the distance.
Right. I hear you. All right, so now the next fight on the card is Martin against Matthews, and this one, I don't know. Hopefully, this one, I feel like we weren't really agreeing with you. You weren't really endorsing the leans that I had coming into this fight. But on this fight, these are 2 prospects, very well respected, very well regarded, on their way up. They're kind of mirror images of each other. Very skilled fighters, and sometimes when you see 2 skilled fighters, especially 2 skilled fighters on their way up, going up against each other, the skills tend to cancel out. And I was thinking, I don't know who's going to win this one, but I was thinking that a finish is a lot more likely than not. The fight going the distance, just 3 rounds, is minus 180 right now at 5 dimes, and the over would be about 2.5 rounds at minus 220 or so. So I think I'd rather just have the fight going the distance at minus 180. What do you think about that? I don't know who has the edge here, but I'm thinking the fight going the distance at 5 dimes minus 180, a pretty good bet.
You know what? This actually is a fight that I'm super high on. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of Jake Matthews. I think this kid, the sky is the limit for this kid. He's really tough, and he shows massive improvements every time he gets inside that cage. I just want to take Jake Matthews straight here. I wouldn't put it past him to get a finish, but I do love these crossroads type of fights where you got 2 up-and-coming guys that, we see which one's going to really skyrocket to the top of the division and which one needs a little bit more time. I think Matthews wins it.
All right. Well, any thoughts on the line movement? Because there has been a huge line movement in favor of Martin. If you had taken Matthews on the opener, we would have to have stuck you with minus 141. But because of the line move, we can now give you minus 106. So there you go, a 35-cent line move against your pick on this fight. What do you make of that, Clint?
You know what? I'm not sure actually. I like it though. It gives me a better price, and it doesn't shake my confidence in Matthews at all. Like you said, this is a close fight. When you look at the skills that they have on paper, and the type of fighters that they are, on paper, it's very close. So it doesn't surprise me that the line is going to even out like that.
All right, so if I was looking at this one, I was thinking, Matthews to win minus 106, but Matthews by decision plus 220. Just give a quick matchups breakdown of this fight. You think that a finish by either of these fighters is a legit possibility? Because I'm thinking that this has got to be at least a, 2/3 chance that it goes the distance, if not more.
Yeah. I mean, as far as Jake Matthews goes, his toughness is next level. If you watched his last fight, he was getting eye gouged and all kinds of dirty stuff and just never quit and managed to get the win there. I can see something like that going here. Both of these guys are defensively sound. Yeah. So you're probably right. This fight most likely does go to decision. But with young, hungry, upcoming fighters like this, all it takes is one slip up for somebody to sink in and choke.
Right. All it takes is one slip up, and you would definitely prefer Matthews to win at minus 106 than Matthews by decision at plus 220.
Yeah. I'm more confident in Matthews. I would just like to take him straight, but I don't have any problem with you taking the over in this fight because I think you're right. It most likely does go the decision.
All right, so Animarak is going to take Matthews to win, currently at minus 106 at Pinnacle. I will make the fight going the distance at minus 180, an official pick for me in MMA, adding it on to my overall official MMA record that we do track here in these shows. I'm going to take Martin Matthews going the distance at minus 180 as an official pick. Again, Clint's 4 plays on these fights. JDS over 1.5 rounds, minus 168. Mark Hunt to win any which way, plus 110. Shogun to win any which way, plus 385. And Matthews to win any which way at plus 106. I am taking the Matthews fight going the distance at minus 180. And I guess leans that I would have leans tie inside the distance, Willis inside the distance, and Shogun, I guess, just to win, although it's tempting to think about Shogun inside the distance as well. Although maybe just Shogun to win now that I've heard your breakdown of it, Clint. makes a little bit more sense. So those would be my leans. Tai inside the distance, Willis inside the distance, and Rua just to win. I don't know if I'll wind up adding those or not, but watch the Loshak in the Bag show today and tomorrow to find out. 4 plays from Clint Animarak, a.k.a. Animarak. Thanks so much for joining us today, Clint.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Have a good one. We'll see you on the afternoon show.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.